If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to dance to a rhythm. Okay, so we are moving from future of radio, and we've been discussing AI and digital transformation. The question is, if AI learns from us, who gets to teach it? Building a Jamaican language model for culture, identity, and truth. This is actually a fireside chat. We're going to invite Ms. KET-A Williams, our 2026-2027 Fulbright Scholar, to Jamaica, and she'll be having the conversation with moderator, Professor Anna Perkins, Commissioner, BCJ. Please make them welcome.
And saying good afternoon to KET-A. Good to have you joining us. It's a fireside chat, so you're going to have to bring the fire. All right. I tend to liken AI systems to children, to a child. And I heard Ashwini earlier on use the term toddler, so I think we're on the same page with regards to that description. I use that description because I think an AI system has to be taught, it has to learn, and every AI system learns from something. They learn from text, they learn from voices, they learn from images, they learn from the accumulated record of human expression. And what they learn from shapes what is it that they see, what they value, and what they recognize as really real, what they recognize to be the reality. Now, if we think about it, most of the world's languages and cultures and communities were not in the room when our AI. Think about it, Jamaica was not in the room. And so if we're going to have a conversation this afternoon where we're asking, what would it mean if Jamaica were to be in the room? What would happen if Jamaica were in the room, not simply as a user of AI technologies, but as a teacher of AI technologies? So, KET-A, you're here as a Fulbright scholar, and you're involved in a very exciting project called Project Iris. Why don't you tell everyone what Project Iris is about?
Okay. Can everyone hear me well?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Or no?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Oh, awesome. So I think to answer this question, I must first allow the audience to understand what IRIS means. So IRIS is an acronym for Indigenous Responsible Intelligence Systems. And Jamaicans should care about IRIS because they will be the ones building it. IRIS is sovereign, which means its knowledge comes from primary sources. And the most primary source available is the lived experience of Jamaican communities, both on the island and across the diaspora. So I'm most excited about this project because Jamaica is among one of the first people to constitute a digital mind. And the active participation is something that we should be proud of, but it comes with a great responsibility because it's in this moment in time that we must take our reasoning very seriously because whatever we feed to IRIS or whatever IRIS encapsulates within our culture will become a cultural artifact, which means for our future generations of Jamaicans or just humanity, if they are curious to know what happens in the early 2020s, IRIS will be that point of contact. So what is left over or what IRIS gathers is incredibly important. So these are the sort of like questions that I bring to Project Iris, and the sort of questions that I'll be exploring very soon when I come home.
Thank you. Talk to us a little bit about training such a system, because we recognize that there's a difference, right, between processing the Jamaican language and genuinely understanding our Jamaican culture. They're two very different things. So could you tell us a little bit about what actually takes place when an AI system moves from simply recognizing, for example, our Jamaican language and understanding what the language is actually saying, what it means, what is it implying? Can you give us a little bit of the technical background to that?
I think for me, the key idea is social recognition. An AI system may learn our stories, our language, our history, but that alone wouldn't mean that it understands Jamaican culture. So for me, culture is relational, as in it lives within our values, our community, is even our memory, and that creates our shared meaning. So whether Iris is perceived as culturally Jamaican is ultimately a social question, not a technical one, in my practice as a cyber psychologist. So I think this is where cyber psychology actually becomes important, because cyber psychology helps us understand how people form relationships with technologies, but also how technologies may impact our ability to learn, how it impacts our identity, our trust, and our societal life. So at the same time, I think AI ethics reminds us that Iris or any other AI system does not exist in a vacuum. It will have real impact on people and our future generation. So the challenge isn't simply teaching Iris to speak like a Jamaican or to regurgitate Jamaican history perfectly. It's really about, the challenge is really about creating a system together that Jamaicans would recognize as reflecting the complexity, or the complexity of who we are, because we are very complex people.
So tell us a little bit about what you would see as distinctly Jamaican in terms of the values that you'd want to be imparting to Iris. Can you say a little bit about that? What's distinctive about us that will be captured in such a project?
I think for me personally, I think Jamaicans are natural philosophers. I mean, we have reasoning in our everyday vocabulary. So that is a distinct feature of us just being Jamaican. And I think when it comes to building Aris, it's just having that sort of like intellectual partner that can keep us ethically in line towards like ethical evolution, for one. Yeah, that's like, at least for me, that's what I love to talk about when it comes to Jamaican culture, is our natural inclination towards like philosophy, like talking about philosophy in our own way through reasoning.
All right, thank you. We have in the room with us today journalists, we have broadcasters, although listening to some of the conversations today, I'm more apprised that we really shouldn't just be speaking of them as broadcasters simply, but we talk about them as truth providers. So some good learning coming out of conversation this morning. Nonetheless, in this conversation with us this afternoon, we have broadcasters, journalists, and content creators. And I think we recognize that they're under quite a bit of pressure to produce more with less. They are being called upon to reach the diaspora, archive decades, perhaps, of cultural production, and to compete on a global level with other institutions that are much better resourced than they are. And so if we talk about a sovereign Jamaican language model, what change would that have for local media? How would that impact the way that local media is functioning right now?
I think this is the most important question, because, like, given our the occasion today, I think when it comes to Iris, the way that it can help change our local media is by helping us listen to ourselves a bit more carefully. The greatest value is not it's helping us like generate more and faster content. It's actually, I think the greatest value when it comes to Iris is it's deep context. Personally, if I choose to, if it was up to me to deploy ARIS, I think I would start with Jamaica's cultural archives, especially music, specifically dancehall music. And for me, dancehall is not just entertainment. I study it, and it's in my belief that it's one of Jamaica's living archives. It carries some of our grievances, humor. It carries aspiration, political feeling, class tension. But most importantly, it sort of holds some emotional temperature of some of our people. And I think that's really important. So for broadcasters and journalists and even content creators, ARIS can help trace the patterns across time and make sure that it's legible without flattening it. Most importantly, I think it can help media workers understand what certain communities are saying before concerns become headlines. And I think this is where co-intelligence, that is working with AI systems, becomes extremely important, because it's not going to be the case where IRIS is replacing our content creators or journalists or our broadcasters. It's going to be the case where IRIS becomes a thought partner and a cultural reasoning partner, almost as a way to audit or, it will kind of be a way for us to audit our broadcasting ethics. So the first deployment, or the way that I would like to see IRIS implemented whenever it's ready, is where public feeling is already being expressed. And for me, that's going to be like certain avenues, like maybe like TikTok content creation, where like our youths are online, but also like definitely in our music. And I think dancehall, for an example, is where that's like pretty prominent.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. There's a lot in terms of the creativity and innovation that is very much a part of what it means to be involved in media in the Jamaican space, that I think your thoughts are capturing and taking us towards. I'm taking account of our time, but I still think we have some opportunities to talk through other matters such as public memory and truth. Would you like to dive into that a little bit more deeply for our audience? How does a sovereign AI model assist us in curating, perhaps, truth, public memory? Any thoughts about that?
I think when it comes to truth or public memory, we're talking about collective knowledge. And the way that Jamaica is positioned right now, we don't have enough time for me to go into everything, but I would say that no one or nobody understands a culture more than the people living within it. So when we have a society, or Jamaica currently, when we outsource our teachings to AI systems that don't sort of like capture us in the best way possible, we sort of give up the opportunity to accurately represent ourselves in the digital spaces. So if we don't build systems that emerge from our own relationships, our own understanding, and our own experiences, then our culture becomes filtered through dominant perspectives. And I don't think we have to imagine what that might look like, because it's already happening in our reality. So what we're currently risking and what we will continue to risk if we don't change paths is our collective knowledge. And that's not just what we know, it's how we know it, it's the stories that we tell and the meanings that we attach to them. But I think what worries me the most is we will sort of lose the way that we understand ourselves as a people. But sovereignty isn't just about representation, it's also about participation. And I sort of like to think of Project Aris as a island-wide collective or initiative, because participation would look differently when it comes to researchers on the island, creators, citizens, and other contributors to a system that will increasingly shape our public knowledge. But When I think about the practical implications of IRIS, it becomes really interesting because I think there is a question when it comes to economics. I think right now with this project, Jamaica has an opportunity to participate in the data economy in our own terms. IRIS also has implications for national security because it involves our stewardship of our lived experiences. So the question is whether we can build systems together that work for our people and eventually like the wider Caribbean. And I think because Jamaica never has to be the largest country in the room to be influential, we are increasingly popular around the world. We have influence through music, we have influence with our culture, our language, our athletics, and I'm wondering right now, why can't we construct our consciousness to sort of aspire to be influential through the AI ethics/developmental space as well? I think for me, the question isn't whether economics matters per se, it's really just, do we think or do we regard our collective knowledge as valuable enough? I think it is. I think Jamaicans are very special. We are small but very mighty, and to capture that sort of nuance and intelligence would be profound. And I think Project Iris would give Jamaica an opportunity to participate in the global data economy on our own terms. And if we're willing to do that responsibly and of course ethically, then Jamaica will eventually emerge as a thought leader and demonstrate what ethical AI development may look like.
All right. Thank you very much. So it gives us, as Jamaicans, an opportunity to participate in the AI processes, AI systems on our own terms, and to do that in a way that recognizes our creativity, recognizes our values, allows us to have a say in just shaping how those kinds of systems help us to make decisions as we move forward. Thank you very much. Would you like at this point to leave our audience with just one practical thing that you think we can each do differently, having spent time in conversation with you today?
Yes, this is what I ask for everyone who I come in dialogue with. The next time that you're talking to ChatGPT or Claude, just to prepare yourself for a more personal relationship with AI in the future, just say please and thank you next time whenever you make a request or whenever you receive any output. That's all I ask.
Thank you very much. Guys, thanks KET-A Williams for joining us today. Blessings.
Thank you so very much, Professor. Thank you, KET-A. Well, let me just let you know, because my granny grow me good, I say please, and I say thanks when I'm speaking to AI. And because in the back of my mind, I think one day they just might take over the world like Terminator, I want them to remember Terry Carell was nice, was courteous, and polite. Everybody else, apocalyptic. But what was beautiful about that conversation, and by the way, in case you're wondering, Germany scored a goal in the first 3 minutes of the game against Ecuador. Just letting you know. What was beautiful is being able to hear someone as young as her just speak so eloquently, and she articulated what the present and what the future is. That someone as young as she is spoke about passion when it comes to preserving the cultural identity and accuracy around Jamaica. When you hear someone like that speak, you know that we are in good hands. Congratulations to the work that KET-A continues to do. And thank you so very much, Professor, for having that deep conversation. Which now brings us to the very final session of the day. I'm not so sure if you did already. You would have seen QR codes on your table that gave you not only the agenda, but the brochure, the digital magazine, where you can learn more about your moderators as well as your panelists. So please ensure that you check that out whenever you have the time.